So I don't know about you, but when I was 17, I had my whole entire life planned. I knew exactly what it was going to look like. I mean, I was 17 and it was planned out. I mean, I knew that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I was going to have 2 perfect children. And my summers specifically would look a lot like this. We would be in my Eldorado Cadillac convertible. I mean, give me a break. It was the 70s. And the top would be down, and we would be driving to the country club. I would be driving, my 2 perfect children would be in the back seat, and we would be headed for a day of tennis and swimming and getting tan, without wrinkles, of course, and all good things. And I thought that this was going to be my life. I don't know why I thought this was going to be my life, but I just, like, people would say, what do you want to do? And all I ever wanted to do was be a mom. I mean, I knew I wanted to work with people somehow, but I had no idea what that would look like other than being a mom and enjoying all of the beautiful attributes that go along with being a full-time stay-at-home mom. Well, I finished college, I ended up getting married, and I started trying for the perfect 2 children, right? And it didn't happen. In fact, I have a political science and communications degree. And with that degree, I promptly left Washington, D.C., moved to Palm Desert, California, and began a career of high-end residential design. Just doesn't everybody do something like that, right? So already the plan is a little different than I anticipated, right? And yet no children were coming, and I thought, oh boy, this is all I want. And so I'm just kind of working until I have the kids. And then about 7.5 years later, my husband at the time decided to trade me in on a younger, blonder version. It's a long time ago, so I can laugh about it now. And then my dream really fell apart, right? How can you live the life that you think you want if nothing is lining up? And so that background is where I'm coming from with what we're talking about today, which oddly enough, having that opportunity mindset is what has allowed me to be here with you today, doing a job I absolutely love, which is doing presenting and speaking, and using all of those little milestones along the way from my past to help me help you. And I'll tell you the rest of the kid story later at the end of our time together. So what I have found is that no matter whether I am going from political science to interior design, to moving all the way back to Reading in 2000 and having nothing go the way that I had planned from my interior design business, to becoming a professional speaker, to moving forward in my life, all of it happened because I had the right mindset, and I call that the opportunity mindset. So I thought today I would give you 3 key elements of creating that opportunity mindset. If you like to take notes, I'm giving you 2 options today. You can either do it on a little card or a big card, whatever you're going to stick with most. What I found is when I do handouts, people throw them away. So rather than waste that, I figured do what you want. If you want to take notes to remember, feel free to do that. Because we're going to start with the first point, which is you have to reframe your thinking. What I found is most of us have an autopilot of no or negative. So we're going to reframe it from the negative to the positive. And let me give you a couple examples of this. Let me write this down. We're going to, we're going to reframe our thinking. Science is coming out more and more and more now with the statistics that show that when we put ourselves in a positive mindset, it creates more positive outcomes for us. There's so many books on that subject, like I can't even name them all, because they're all verifying that this is in fact true. Now, I have my own personal stories about that, and it's really simple. In my house, I'm the optimist, and my husband, of course, is the opposite. And so in our house, I always get the green lights. I don't know about you, you, but we live over by UPrep, so whenever I drive onto this side of town, there's all those lights coming through the center of downtown Reading, right? But in my mind, I always get the greens. I don't know why I always get the greens. And so my kids have caught on to this. And if they have a choice of riding with their dad or riding with me, who do they want to ride with? With Mama. Because guess what? I always get the greens. Now, do I always get the greens? No, statistically we know it's 50-50. I really don't. But my perception is that I always get the greens. So think about your work environment. Are you expecting the positive or are you expecting the negative? What is it that is most that you're looking for more often? I'm looking for the greens. So when I get a red, I'm like, oh, how weird. How weird I'm getting a red light. I never get red lights, right? Because I have reframed my thinking to look for the green. Go for the greens, look for the positive that's going to move me forward. And I come by this it's been an effort to learn how to do this, you guys. I grew up with a huge negative tape running through my head. Every time I looked in the mirror, every single time I looked in the mirror, all I could see was, oh my gosh, you're so ugly. I don't even say this out loud anymore. I mean, like, I hate saying this right now, but I would say, you're so ugly, you're so fat, nobody likes you. I mean, literally, these kind of negative tapes and worse were going through my head every single time I looked in the mirror. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I realized what I was doing to myself, that self-sabotage, right? And I have had to learn to stop that and reframe it into the positive. So now I'm like, I love my sturdy legs that take me solidly from one place to another, right? I love my healthy body, and I affirm it into the positive rather than in the negative. And I have become such a positive person in large part because I've retrained my brain to look for the positive. And like Carrie and I are friends, she knows. I say no negative, right? If somebody is like around me and they're like, oh, that's probably not gonna work, I'm like, okay, stop. How can we reframe that? You know, in the past it may not have worked, but in the future what we can do is. And that's just by reframing. So my dad is a lot like this. And 14 years ago, he was diagnosed with colon cancer, which you must admit is not a very happy thing, right? Nobody wants to be diagnosed with colon cancer. And unfortunately for him, because he had avoided his colonoscopies, all of you over 40, get your colonoscopy. They found colon cancer, not just a little bit, but it had actually gone through his the lining of his colon, and so they did surgery and they got it all, but they said, we want to do chemotherapy as a preventative. All right, so this is not good news, is it? I mean, I don't think it's good news. And yet, the day he was getting ready to go for his first chemotherapy appointment, he's sitting at his desk, and my mother walks by and she looks down at him and she says, well, Ron, is there anything that I can help you with? Is there anything I can help you get ready before you go for your appointment this afternoon? And he looked up at her and he said, He goes, you know, I've got my new Clive Cussler book and I've got my new Straight Ahead Big Band CD I haven't had a chance to listen to. I'm gonna have some time to do them both. You know, I think this could be kind of fun. My mother's like, are you out of your mind? This is chemotherapy. It is not supposed to be fun. But because he had that incredibly optimistic outlook and positive outlook, that helped him. Of course, the chemotherapy didn't almost kill him, but the infection he got because of the chemotherapy almost killed him. And I am a firm believer that having that foundational base of a positive outlook helped him come through that. And today, thank the Lord, he's cancer-free and healthier than he's ever been. He rode 76 miles on his 76th birthday last October. He's a maniac, yeah. But that positive outlook, that reframing from the negative to the positive, I'm not saying that everyone who's sick is sick because they're thinking that. I'm not saying that. Please hear my heart on that. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you want to give yourself an edge, look for the positive, the way to look at it more positively. So how do you think? Like, what is your normal state of being? Do you think you're more of a positive finder or more of you see the half empty? And the reason I want you to identify it is because you may be in habits, just like I was with the negative self-talk, that you don't even realize you're doing. and you're self-sabotaging. And you're self-sabotaging you personally, you're self-sabotaging at work, with your team, and with your company. So I want you to take a minute and think about that. What is your natural way? And then what is one thing in your life right now that you could tweak the way you're thinking about it, about this situation? Okay, so maybe you're thinking negative about the people you're working with, or maybe you're thinking negative about opportunities, or maybe you're thinking negative about your kids. I don't know what it is, but what can you reframe to help you look at it with an optimistic outlook? So I want you to take a minute and jot down, or think about it if you don't want to jot it down, and then get in little groups of 3 or 4, and share it with each other. And it'll take just a couple minutes to talk this through. Yeah.
Just turn around and join us.